GM. This is Morning Markets. It is Thursday, the 25th of September. So, Bitcoin, low time frame. What did we see? We pushed up to the high of the consolidation. This was one of the targets I mentioned to look for a potential reversal on Bitcoin or for it to flip and hold as support. And well, we broke above. The next immediate candle closed below. So, not respecting it. And then we saw a sweep, rejection, and reversal. And this is what I mentioned to look out for in yesterday's video. If you didn't check it out, make sure you do, because I dive into how to trade reversal setups the right way, waiting for confirmation. Because I said yesterday, look for shorts on Bitcoin at any of these three targets. And well, Bitcoin, it found resistance. The squeeze only led to a move to the first target. So that in itself is pretty bearish. The fact that the squeeze could only take it to the first level and we couldn't actually get to 114.6 at this order block or the weekend highs. Now, of course, could we still get there? Sure. This is still a consolidation until this low breaks over here. Therefore, if we reclaim this liquidity level, then I'd expect a move up to 114.6 and the weekend highs, because the invalidation of a bearish setup is of course a bullish setup. But however, so far you have to play the charts for what they showed you, and yesterday we got that beautiful short setup. So Bitcoin pushed above, you got that beautiful sweep. So if you remember in the video, I showed you the reversal patterns to look for. This is the sweep pattern. And once you saw the sweep, you're then looking for your confirmation, and that would be a market structure break. So this low, which led to the recent high, got broken on this candle over here. You can see it just about closed below. That triggered a beautiful short where your stop loss gets managed at the high. You've got your risk clearly set, and that short has been playing out. I'm still in it now. Stop loss has been moved to break even, so risk-free trade. Of course, again, we can still push up and get above this level. If so, don't want to be in a shorts. That's why it's risk-free now. But I think if we do come lower, we can actually break down from here, because this is a consolidation within a downtrend. As I mentioned to you guys, the error people make as traders is they start trying to fight the trend when the bands have been red. They're remaining red, they're acting as resistance, haven't been able to flip them green. We've broken down from this consolidation, from the FOMC interest rate cut decision. So Bitcoin's reacted bearishly to it. It's a clear signal that you just cannot ignore. It's only when 115, and as I said, the daily bands get reclaimed, can you look at Bitcoin as being bullish on this time frame. Until then, it is neutral at best, as I said, if not bearish. And what we've seen here is the daily 12 and 21 bands have now flipped red, and it's on today's close that will confirm. So bulls really have work to do, because at the moment this looks like it's going to break down further. And if we look at our lower levels, we have 110k, that OPEX level. You'd expect that to hold as support, especially the closer we get to Friday. So actually, if you go to lower time frames, a nice long setup would be if bulls try to push price below 110k and we can't get below. And by the time OPEX happens, you see price actually remain above 110k. And from there, you're looking at, does this then break down further, or can we start to build higher high and higher low structure? And OPEX is, of course, Friday, 8 a.m. UTC. So what you so often see is price gets pushed below, or there's at least an attempt to push it below just before the expiry. And after the expiry, you can then see the big move, because you don't have those dynamics anymore. And from there, you want to see Do we build bullish structure, or do we actually continue breaking down? And that's when you'll find out if 110K is real support or whether it was just being held up due to OPEX. So that's what I'll be looking at if we do make our way to the lows there. That's where I'll be looking to exit any shorts as well, because it is the last area where Bitcoin can find support here on the daily time frame before making new lows for September. So overall, charts are not looking amazing. Bands are about to flip red here if we close anywhere here today. We've already retraced almost all of Wednesday's green move today, this morning. So that's a sign that it wasn't very strong since pre-New York session. We're already below the open of it. So this is a moment where you can just sit on your hands as a higher time frame investor or trader, because at the moment you're only seeing low time frame day trades present, and that's fine. Look, as I said, I got out of my cycle bags on Bitcoin at 121, around this number here. I've gone into cash, so I welcome any downside here on Bitcoin. I'm prepared for it if we are going to get a further breakdown. And if not, if we reclaim 115, we reclaim these 12 and 21 daily bands, and I will get swing long again. It's simple. I've got a plan for either direction, so I'm never going to miss out on any move. And that's the way you have to be as a trader, because you can't tell the market what to do. Anything can happen. It truly can go anywhere, up or down. Don't listen to anyone who tells you the market is going to go to this place with 100% certainty, because they're not a trader. No one can predict the market. I don't care what TA you have. The market can go literally anywhere. Your job as a trader is to react to where it goes and trade those highly probable setups if it offers good risk to reward. I will keep saying that until it sticks in everyone's head, because it's probably the best advice I could give to you guys as a trader. It's what separates the novices from the professionals, and what allows you to remain unbiased, because I have a plan for both scenarios. Therefore, I don't care what way Bitcoin goes. If it offers me cheap Bitcoin, great. If it reclaims, great. That sets up a move to 120. And either way, I'm then prepared. So that is the analysis for Bitcoin. Again, low time frame. If we get to 110K, watching that for a potential support area. Lose it, then that opens a move to new lows. And on the upside, if we can reclaim the high of this consolidation, well, that sets up a move towards 115 and this liquidity around 114.6 and potentially the weekend highs, because that invalidates the potential bearish setup, which we saw here from the rejection and sweep. So that's the full update for BTC. If we look at Ethereum, we are now breaking below the high time frame SR level. So again, if you guys remember from yesterday's video, I said, do not get long on Ethereum looking at this as a failure to return reversal pattern until this consolidation high is broken. Simple. You can't just assume everything's a reversal. You also have to have some sort of confirmation before you get long and on board. And instead of breaking above and holding this, where you can then look for long setups, Ethereum actually just got nowhere near that level and broke down. So seeing some weakness here on ETH. Again, it's downtrend consolidation, and now we're downtrending. So trend is your friend. It's as simple as that until you see a reversal pattern form. And for that, you want to go to really the 4 hour now. Could this be a sweep if we close above it? Yeah, sure. There's only 17 minutes left though, so that's yet to be seen. However, the key thing is confirmation remains over here. It's breaking above this consolidation, which produced the bearish move. That confirms a highly probable reversal. And right now, we're doing the opposite. We're breaking down. We're breaking below the high time frame SR level. And if the daily closes anywhere here, it's not looking great for ETH, because you're now breaking down from the compression pattern that I mentioned to you guys in pretty much all the morning market videos and the weekly outlook video, where ETH has broken down from it very clearly. As I said, just because volatility is compression doesn't mean a volatility expansion leads to a move up. It can be up or down. It just means volatility is about to expand, offering good setups, and well, that setup offered to the downside. You saw a big move down, and we're now breaking the key high time frame SR level, which you really don't want to see Ethereum break. That is now flirting with the idea of a high time frame false breakout above this level. So if we close anywhere inside, that means the breakout has failed until proven otherwise. So as I've been saying to you guys, until ETH gets above all-time high, it's not good for momentum longs, so trend longs, because as you can see, it's on the breakout of consolidations that you see ETH do its big moves, and the next level to break is here. Therefore, from a momentum perspective, ETH is definitely done. Now, does that mean it can't continue consolidating here and form a range, as I mentioned yesterday? No. You could very well see a reversal setup form here, and ETH to actually just make its way up to the range highs. And as I said, you can use a fib tool from high to low. As long as the 1.2 level doesn't break, we are technically at the support of this range. However, due to other TA, looking at this high time frame SR level, you're really wanting to see this reversal setup play out today and start to form, because otherwise, as I said, you're flirting with breaking down from this consolidation. If the daily closes here today, of course, still 16 hours to go, still got a New York session, a lot can happen. However, with the way it's setting up, does look like it does want to break down since this consolidation here. You're seeing downtrend, consolidation, downtrend, which is harmony for bears to continue. And if you put on something like the volume here, what are you seeing? Well, we had a big volume candle into support. Volume's actually declining, which is a good thing in the sense that this downtrend isn't strong yet. If this candle does break down and you see volumes rising, well, that indicates that a further breakdown is likely. So if the volume candle finishes over here, you then see volume is rising while price is downtrending. That is harmony. And that means that sellers are showing up more and more aggressively as the downtrend continues, which signals continuation. It's one of the technical analysis you can use in your trends. So watching the daily close carefully on ETH here, not much interest unless you can see a reversal pattern, which confirms, as I said, after you close above here. Until then, we're in a downtrend and expect further breakdowns. And that, again, is why you don't just blindly long Ethereum on the sweep here, for example, because, again, where do you put your stop? Where do you put it? Do you put it here? Do you put it down there? You're just getting terrible risk to reward, where you could instead wait for a reclaim of this level and get long with your stop loss at the lows or wherever that low may be. So that's it for ETH. If we quickly take a look at Solana, we're also seeing the same thing here. So we broke down through the gap, which is pretty bearish for Sol. We've come back down to the weekly open here. So we've retraced the entire bullish week on Solana. Not a good sign, but again, what did I say to you guys? The move on Sol, the target is 240 to 260. That has played out. This is why you have to be objective and stick to your plans when the move actually plays out. That's why you saw we got long on Sol last week, played the move, took profit around 250, 240 levels, and we got out. And now you see the breakdown. Did I know it was going to break down in hindsight? No, of course not. It could have very easily continued higher, but this was the target for the move. It was this previous distribution area that we've seen Solana sell off from so many times this cycle and even last cycle. If we go time frame here, this is where Solana topped out. So it's no surprise to see this level met with sellers again. Does it mean Sol is absolutely cooked and done? No, but certainly on the daily and low time frames, it is. You filled in this gap. You filled in a weekly bullish candle immediately, which is not a bullish sign. That means bulls could not defend the impulse candle and bears have easily taken control. Therefore, at best, if you really want to, take out your magnifying glass and find a reason to be bullish on Sol here, you'd look for these weekly 12 and 21 bands to hold. And at the lowest, this is the yearly open here, which you absolutely want to see Solana hold on the high time frame. Below the yearly open is extremely bearish for Sol. That opens up a move to these liquidity levels here if we do lose it. So on the high time frame, you're coming into a level which has to start flipping into support here for Solana. On the weekly, you want to see those 12 and 21 bands hold, as well as that yearly open. That is the ultimate invalidation now. So I think it's going to need to digest this move. It's not going to just be reverse after filling in the gap so aggressively. You got all of these longs offside here. Solana's going to need time to chop and consolidate, and I think that's the story for most of the market. And if bearish, it's going to break down below the yearly open. So patience is the play for the rest of September when you're looking for longs, because the high time frame is showing signs of weakness. And if we quickly look at the total altcoin market, as I said, you've got this compression pattern where we broke out from. That has now so far set a trap, which I mentioned to look out for. And since we're filling in this entire gap, it's not a good sign. When you have price consolidate for a lengthy period of time, like we did here, you want to see it break out and hold. However, this consolidation so far has been met with sellers and pretty much immediately rejected after you saw the sweep. And you've seen the market structure break. We have so far formed again this sweep pattern, one of your reversal patterns, and now price is downtrending lower. It's that simple. So until 850 billion is reclaimed, I would be cautious for the rest of September. There's a potential risk for a further flush, and this is really seen with the fact that Bitcoin is weak against the macro assets. Crypto is weak. We had the chance for Bitcoin to just play the catch-up trade, but since we broke down from the consolidation, broke down below Form C, crypto simply reacted bearishly, while gold reacted bullishly to Form C. Stocks reacted bullishly to Form C, and it had its time to catch up, and it did not take it. Therefore, the worrying thing is, if we see a sell-off on stocks, what does that lead to on Bitcoin? Do we then see Bitcoin break the lows potentially? If we see gold, instead of trending higher, actually start breaking down, what does that do to Bitcoin? At the moment, gold has been very strong and it's making new highs, which is why you see this Bitcoin weakness. I've gone over this many times. And if it's going to keep rising, you have to ask, what is the reason for people bidding gold? What's this uncertainty in the world that has people so bullish on this precious metal? Because gold typically rises when there is uncertainty or global tensions ahead. Remember, the markets are forward-looking. The markets price in news in the coming weeks and months ahead. And by the time the news comes out, whatever conflict or whatever it is, that's when gold is in its later stages of its trend. So you have to wonder, is maybe recession coming into play? I'm not sure, but the fact that Bitcoin's showing weakness, being the leading indicator of liquidity typically, is a sign you can't ignore, especially when stocks are above the FOMC low, gold's above the FOMC low, and the dollar is above the FOMC low as well. And the dollar is rallying. The dollar is so far trying to get above the daily 12 and 21 bands, which I mentioned to look out for. You then also have the 50 EMA, which you want to look out for. So is this daily 50 going to hold as resistance? You also have the 50-week EMA, which can be useful as a target on this dollar move. Below it, it's been bearish, so very interesting on the dollar. Is this rallying because of some uncertainty ahead? I'm not sure, but Bitcoin looks like it thinks there is. So watch the daily chart until those bands are reclaimed. I'd be cautious in September. I think we can probably see further downside, especially given today's weakness, already retracing Wednesday candle. So watch out for the New York session. Those are the levels to look out for. I'll see you guys in the next one.